My name is Jack.
My name is Austin.
My name is Michael.
This is our first time doing this, so your patience is much appreciated. This podcast, we're doing it mostly out of the fun of doing it. Was the main inspiration to get it
for
going.
fun.
Yeah.
But we have things that we wanna,
I think our main purpose with this is just to reach out to the younger guys and give them something to actually like look up to almost.
Yeah.
And like this is mainly intended for high school guys, not really middle school and younger. It depends on the questions that we have.
If I think some questions might pertain to the middle school experience, but like a lot of the things you experience in middle school are more not as deep as things we're talking about here, is where we're kind of talking about morals and ethics and philosophies and future generations and stuff. So the main goal of this podcast really is to share what we've learned as men who just recently graduated high school. And so let's go around the table. They're going to ask the question, just who are we? Why are we doing this individually? And why should anyone listen to us? So I'll start. So my name is Jack. I am based here in the Pacific Northwest. Lived here my whole life. I haven't lived in this current town my whole life, but have spent a long time here now. I've written 2 books, published 1, graduate of high school, and I graduated 2 years of college too, because I'm cool like that. Done a senior sermon, been a student leader for 3 years.
Right.
I think it's good credentials. I think the big thing I want to do about this is just that people talk about, when I talk to people, they're like, wow, you have such good conversations, you have deep things to say. But I never really write them down. People don't really remember it. Lots of yapping coming from me, but this will be a way where I can kind of document the things I have to say or want to say.
Let's say it's good yapping.
Good yapping in a good way. It's a place where we can ask deep questions without it feeling like awkward, because it's hard to walk up to someone and be like, hey, let's just have this really deep conversation really quick. It has to happen naturally, or in a place where it's like.
And some people, a lot of people actually yearn for those deeper conversations, but some people don't have the friends to do that, and that's also another purpose of this, is just being able to watch other people. But it is important to also have friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And I think one other big thing about podcasts too for me is that I like to listen to podcasts, and I kind of feel part of the group, part of the friend group in a way, kind of like put myself in with those people and like feel like I'm there in a conversation, having my own thoughts on the idea, but never really get to actually put those back out there, those thoughts that I have. So, I mean, not to make like parasocial relationships, but these are friends we're inviting into our little circle for a moment, and gonna share some wisdom with them, and so
have some funny moments,
and hopefully get some laughs. Yeah, that's definitely
a little bit laughing.
You wanna go?
Yeah, I'll go. So my name is Michael.
How'd redo that?
Yeah,
I can cut out the edits. It's
I
fine.
forgot we can redo this. So, what did you
Who
even say?
Who
I
you
talked
are?
about my school experience,
Who you are? Like maybe something you like to do. Or
things I've done.
Okay. I'm a car guy. Just
Say that.
This is mine's Michael. It's immediately cut to, I'm a car guy right there.
Yeah, probably. So, okay. My name is Michael. I just graduated, and I went to school mainly for automotive and just to learn more about cars and stuff. And right now I'm looking at a job, and I think I just got it, but we'll see.
So why are you doing this?
Yeah. Doing this because, first off, it's just fun to have time with friends and just talk about things. And also, I just recently turned 18, so now I can't.
He's legally an adult.
I'm a legal adult now, so.
The government watching this, what he says can and will be used against him in a court of law.
Hey.
He has the right to a lawyer, and if he cannot provide, or if he cannot.
I invoked the 5th.
You're not invoking the 5th here. You're talking a lot, man. Silent podcast from here on out. He's mewing. All right. Yeah.
Hey y'all, I'm Austin. I also just graduated. Really into aviation. Did that a lot in school. That was like really the only reason I went to school is to do aviation and get out of high school. Um, why am I doing this? Because it's fun to hang out with friends and just talk about stuff. But it's also nice to meet new people online and just like
Spread the word
talk to
about it.
them and just like or let them hear what we have to say. I think even though it's like, oh, we're just like a couple three random dudes, it's like we have experience in this life, and it's like might as well listen to someone.
Yeah, I think what some people hear a lot, they hear a lot of stuff from older people, but when they hear it from younger people, it can almost be reaffirming when when another 16-year-old is like, "Hey, Dad, look at this. What do you think of what they're saying?" And they agree with it, then it can be a lot more reaffirming to.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier, especially like someone's 80, they graduated 50 years ago.
Yeah.
We just graduated, so we have experience like
The
right out
world-
the gate.
World is the same but very different at the same time.
Yeah.
Like there's still things that ring true, but it's important that each generation hears from its own generation sometimes.
I think a big thing too is that partially why our podcast is very different from others is that we're so young and that we just graduated.
Yeah.
We don't really have that much experience relative to people who have,
Yeah,
much
when it
older
comes to
people doing
financial
it.
advice, don't take any of our advice.
Yeah, we're not going to
Just-
talk about financial just stuff.
We'll have another
jobs.
podcast with like Stanley or something.
Yeah, Stanley.
my gosh,
Stanley gets on.
okay.
He'll definitely do a podcast on finance. But like,
Yeah.
I think in this context, people can watch us and be like, "Dang, we don't really got it figured out.
Mhm.
Like, we still got a lot to learn. There's a lot of experiences that we still have to go through before
Yeah.
we like get to a place where we really feel comfortable in our skin and like really sure of who we are and what we're doing in our lives.
Mhm.
But like, we're still at a place where we have individuality and have a personality that has been shaped by our times in high school and also just our time in the Word and with Christ. Like sharing the gospel and all those things.
Mhm.
And I think people have a lot of things to say, but not the confidence to do it and to actually say it, and to have young people who are out there sharing the gospel and talking about these deep conversations
Mhm.
helps change the culture around conversations in general and
Yeah.
stuff that people talk about with their friends. Change that feeling where it's like, oh, I can really talk like this deep, where really we're trying to get
That and just being vulnerable with other people.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to come by nowadays. Vulnerability is something that has been shunned, and
I feel like we grew a lot. Like in small group, we grew a lot these past couple of years. And
yes,
being vulnerable and like
yeah.
getting deep.
for sure. You guys
We're not-
you're never gonna know why that's funny.
Yeah, that's just gonna be an inside joke now.
Inside joke.
You know if you know.
If you know, you know.
It's not even what you think it is. Get your mind out of the gutter.
If it is what you think it is, no, it's not.
It's not.
All right. We've talked a bit about the podcast, about
Right.
what our goals are here,
Yep.
and individually what our hopes are here. But we don't want this to be all so serious that it's like not entertaining and that it's not fun to listen to.
Mhm.
So one of the questions we have for today is, what is a conspiracy theory that you believe in? Some ground rules. Can't talk about 3 big ones that have been discussed previously amongst people around this table that I won't
I want
list
to talk
down
about it so bad
because I don't want it to get demonetized on YouTube. So
That's fair.
in that context, let's talk about some conspiracy theories, or they can be as niche or as really obvious as you want. But you guys have any answers?
I think okay, hold on. I actually have a really good one. I think automotive companies are they are specifically designing their cars to go out at a certain mileage so that they can make money off of it.
I would
And-
say that for also like refrigerators, dishwashers.
okay, but specifically cars, because back then 90s, like my 95 Toyota that I have, it's like 30 years old, and it's probably gonna outlast everything else in my basically parking lot. I'm gonna call it that, the parking lot.
pros a car from every generation.
It's a lot of cars.
Pretty
out
much.
there.
I mean, okay, most of them are from like mid 2000s, but
Yeah.
it's gonna outlast because back then Toyota and like most car companies, they just decide, hey, let's just try to make our cars as indestructible as possible so that we don't have to deal with them. But then they realize, oh crap, we're not really making money because our mechanics don't make money, and mechanics need to make money. So and it's all about money, really.
There's definitely a big shift at some point. I can't say exactly when, but the shift in manufacturing and capitalist culture went from let's produce a good product to let's just produce a product, and things aren't really made to last anymore.
No, not
Like
at all.
phones, computers, video game consoles, TVs, all these things like get outdated so fast by the next new tech.
Right.
But even the next new tech isn't built to last. Like you buy something brand new and it'll last you a while, but then before you know it, you're like, this is either outdated or it getting slower or just not it anymore.
Basically, we're saying that we were born like 17 years a little too late to get all the good quality
You
stuff.
could go back and buy a car for $3,000 back then, and it would last you for 40 years. Now
Or-
you
or-
spend 20 grand on a car, and it
or
lasts
just
you.
buy like a car that was worth $800 in 2010, and then now it's worth like $50K or something like that. You know, like all the Skylines and Supras and all that. And that's,
Shout out to the Japanese domestic market, by the way.
yes, but there's a lot of overhyped cars from that. They're good cars, but overhyped. Could say
They're
that.
pretty looking though. Most of them are pretty looking.
Yes, most of them are pretty looking.
What's your conspiracy theory?
I got two actually. So
Okay.
I'd say the Boeing whistleblowers being dead. I think that's a little bit suspicious, you know.
Valid.
Wait,
I don't know
so
if it's
like they got like they're
they're
dead.
dead.
They
They were like
allegedly suicides or other accidents occurred in which two
yeah, I think it's
Two
two
died?
now.
have died from whistleblowing.
I heard
Boeing.
that completely wrong when we were talking about this earlier. Oh gosh.
Earlier was like a couple months ago.
Yeah, this is not new news. There's some
just-
much bigger new news that came out today. That's
Oh my
That's
god.
my other. That's my other one. I was
But
gonna
hold on,
say.
hold on. Let's talk about that as just a whole topic.
we'll come back to that in
We'll
a
come
second.
back
We'll wrap
to it.
back around to it.
Because I
Boeing-
think that's pretty fresh in
I
our
think-
minds.
Why
Yeah.
why do
But-
you think the Boeing whistleblowers are?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it. I would believe it because it's just like, at this point, I'd believe anything.
Cause I don't know about what both of them. I know one of them was saying like how Boeing was like almost being lazy on parts and stuff and whatnot, and it seems like with a lot of like political stuff going on right now, it's almost like they don't want us to like the government doesn't want us to go on planes. Like something's gonna happen inside of America. I don't know. That just sounds crazy, but it's America.
The conspiracy theories always
it's-
wrap back around to planes.
best country there is, but
But the government.
huge but the government sucks.
All right.
We're getting
Conspiracy theory I have before we get on to Austin the second, because it's gonna go into a much deeper conversation. You know the Just Stop Oil protesters?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're actually protesters. I think they're hired by big oil companies to create hatred for oil protesters, so that people have empathy for oil companies more.
I've never heard that one actually.
Because they're doing all these crazy things that no one likes them doing it. Setting up on highways,
Yeah.
No,
pouring powder on like
it-
NASCAR tracks and jumping out in the roads.
That's true.
Wait a minute.
throwing-
Hold on.
throwing
No. It doesn't even make it like we're more empathetic towards them. It makes us toward. They're like, oh my gosh, these guys are like actual jerks. We need
Yeah.
to get them out of here.
Well, I get mad when I do get mad when I see it.
That's
I'm like,
what-
I
'cause
no
no
going online, you're just like,
Man, these
dude,
guys are,
if they're blocking my freeway, dude, they're getting ran over.
bro. I'm
like,
pulling that.
because
What's
no
that
one.
one guy where there was protesters and he just said,
Oh, that was,
and just
I think not a Texas Ranger, but it was in Texas somewhere. I think.
Of course, it's Texas.
Oh,
it's always Texas.
Here's the thing. No one looks at some protesters throwing soup on like the Mona Lisa
Yeah.
or like ancient artifacts and be like, we should really support these people's causes. You know, like if they're not actually doing anything. Well, this is America. There are places that you can go to protest where you'll actually make a difference. Doing that is not one of them. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty convinced because of the amount of hatred that's been made for the Just Stop Oil protesters that
just
it
straight up got
secretly was
hired.
never actually a protesters at all, and they were hired by major oil companies to continue to create turbulence in the actual protesters who are trying to make a difference.
Because when did that even start? Like, do you know when like oil like protests
It's just-
started?
I mean, like,
It's
I'm
when
thinking
electric cars
it definitely
started.
got bigger in the past like 2 years or so. Like,
Also, not really a theory or conspiracy theory, but electric cars are not as efficient as gas cars.
Well, I know.
Because the way they make it's not because of them driving around, it's just the way they make the batteries. Batteries, when they're made, lithium ion batteries, they produce like about as much as a car does when it hits 60,000 miles. So it's not until you actually hit around 60,000 miles in your Tesla that you're actually starting to save the planet. But at the rate that they're producing them, it's just
the problem with electric vehicles is that if
Going
all
down.
of our vehicles ran on electricity,
oh yeah,
we
the
don't
grid
have sustainable
No.
sources to recharge our cars.
right.
At that point, you're just burning coal in a different way.
We need
You're
to
not burning it in your car. You're
we need
burning
to
it in the
move
power
to-
plants that are burning coal to create
we
electricity.
need to move to nuclear power because
Yeah. And nuclear power has been suppressed. I mean, I guess validly because
it's
of
validly
Chernobyl.
suppressed, but they've come a long way in safety and everything. Because
People use Chernobyl as a pretty big like example of like, ah, yes, this is why we shouldn't have nuclear power. But the thing
Yeah.
is, Chernobyl was because the USSR was terrible,
yeah,
and those people who worked at those power plants had like 3 months of training, and they were like, all right, go manage our power plants for us, and they're like, okay,
yeah, no thanks.
okay, comrade.
It's like some Homer Simpson kind of stuff, you know?
Come
Yeah.
on.
Looking at the power plant.
Oh gosh, yeah. No thanks. Also, those videos where it's this guy and he puts his arm up in the shadow and then he moves and the shadow's like still there.
Still there, yeah.
That is sketchy.
There's a
No thanks.
if you're under the age of 16, don't go watch this. But the Chernobyl miniseries on HBO Max is crazy. Very well made, very very good. Very grotesque in certain places. Very accurate depictions of nuclear.
So we're
effects on
watching
the
that
human
tonight,
body.
right?
It's like a whole series. It's like 6 hours long, but it's exceptional. It's really good.
Alright.
I'll have to take a look.
It's very good. Now on to the second most historic
The
thing that's
second
ever
one,
happened
this has
today.
happened as of what? July 13th?
July
July
13th,
13th,
2024, about
This happened
4
a
hours
couple
ago.
4 hours ago, really? I thought
It
it was
happened
like
about
2 hours ago.
About 3 o'clock, I think.
3 o'clock.
The big one
4
is Trump getting shot mid-debate and
He got grazed by a bullet.
a bullet.
Animal bullet.
And he had some blood on him. We don't know. We still, I don't think, know much about it. I haven't looked at it in the past like hour, but
Barely anything is known right now.
Yeah.
Like when I was looking at the
There-
videos and stuff, it was like stuff that was recorded like minutes before.
I know Trump has posted already on Twitter.
Yeah, Trump said he's fine, and I think I don't remember what the Twitter post said, but it was saying like, you know, his condolences goes out to the families or and
Yeah,
stuff
because
like
somebody I know did
that.
die.
I think 2,
Maybe
people
2.
died.
We don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
whoever did get hurt or
I think-
died, it just
It would probably be
prayers
better.
out to the families for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely gonna have a lot of the
repercussions.
internet culture around the event is going to be very lighthearted, but the nature of the event itself is actually very dark.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the context of like the submarine that went down to the Titanic, which by the way, another conspiracy theory I believe in, there was no people in that submarine. They all faked their deaths. To not pay taxes.
Now hold on a minute.
Because I'm millionaires.
my.
That's off topic, but like,
Anyways, back to Trump, right? Yeah, not really much known out there right now. Probably shouldn't be talking about it so soon. There's like no news out about it.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like the time this comes out, there's
but
gonna be a lot
also
more news.
just genuine like
when was the last time a president was assassinated? JFK?
No, what assassination attempt?
Oh, attempts?
I
I
think
don't know.
there
Well, I
may
heard
have been one.
There was an
with-
attempt against Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan and
Well, I think there's been attempts against Trump, like when he was president.
wasn't there one against
I guess
Obama,
successful
or is that
ones.
just me?
I think a lot of.
I think most presidents probably have had it.
I'm sure there's
attempts.
definitely attempts out there
Well,
that,
but
they
not
were
like
advertised.
getting literally shot in the ear and
No.
almost like
I think
front like 2 inches from. That's just genuinely crazy how we could have almost had
I got off work.
on. Okay, hold on. So you know how JFK that was on television, but
Mm,
you could see it but it wasn't in like high definition anything. That could have been a president getting shot in high definition. You could have like literally seen every detail in it.
You could have had 4K 1080p footage out there of Donald Trump getting demolished on the internet within seconds.
Yeah, I mean that's not. I'm laughing at that because the way you.
The context of it is insane in the nature of how the current state of the world.
Also, I guess to go with this, we're not even talking about the conspiracy. This is not. We're not.
Yeah,
my
we're
conspiracy. My conspiracy is the what's it called?
Secret Service.
Secret Service on having not great protection at the event.
Hmm.
I feel like there's. I mean, I don't know everything about it, but I've seen a lot of stuff saying how there wasn't as good a security as it should have been.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, there was a lot of people saying, apparently that they were reporting to the police about this one guy looking really suspicious, and they didn't do anything about it.
Heard of that too.
Yeah, I mean the step is impeachment, put him in jail, but they can't do those two because they've already tried.
Right.
Now they're just gonna kill him.
Try.
Like the Bowen.
They're gonna try to, and they're.
My question is, okay, actually, I shouldn't be saying
I feel-
that. I can't. I literally can't. do
This
that.
sounds bad, but I think Trump's gonna die. I do think Trump's gonna die. I think they're gonna assassinate him. Joe Biden has
gonna
no.
get smoked.
He has
Joe
no.
Biden.
Joe Biden has no chance right now, and that's the only thing they can do.
Yeah.
Well, oh gosh, this is a crazy thing to say, but I think I have to put this in quotation marks. If the Democrats, if they
Big if.
quote killed the president, end quote, like the current president, then that would really make the spotlight go to them and be like, oh wow, he died, and our empathy goes out to the Democrats and stuff.
It
And
would also default Kamala Harris into being president.
exactly my point, but also that would
the
raise a lot of suspicion. But it would still, like,
But
You're-
Democrats do not want Kamala Harris.
but nor
I
do
think
they want Joe
anyone
Biden.
I don't think anyone wants anyone right now.
Yeah,
I think
no,
we're all
that's
just
true.
stuck with what we have.
I think like the best thing you can do really right now is just like pray that God leads. I mean,
Yeah.
the next leader. Of,
Yeah. I think a big thing is that we're not saying these things for fear mongering. This is not a goal that we're not trying to scare people into being afraid of what's happening.
We're just straight up talking to each other. It's
There
not-
is things that are occurring in this world that are going to be scary, but like a lot of scary things.
in the end,
happen.
we're all gonna die, and we're gonna go to heaven or hell.
It takes faith in Christ to be a person at all. You have to have faith in something that things are going to turn out all right.
I feel like God is. I don't know for sure. I feel like God's using not like even though Trump's like not the most like,
No.
but like God has used like in the Bible has used people.
Donald Trump, please save me, Donald Trump.
No,
Oh
but
my
like
gosh,
no,
no.
but like God has used people who were wicked, like in the Bible, you know,
Yeah.
to do good things.
Yeah.
I'm saying like Trump's like, I mean like he's definitely done bad stuff, but like I think God's using him for trying to use him for good.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do a couple bad things for it to turn out good.
Most of the people in the Bible were not very good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like how most people in the world aren't really that great people. But
On the
Mhm.
I mean, we're all sinners, so
Yeah.
you know, that's standards.
on the topic of high definition footage of a presidential assassination, in the context of the modern world, it is insane how much footage we have of things that happen across the world.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
I've watched so many videos of just like actual Ukrainian or Russian soldiers fighting in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like
that's-
high definition video of men dying, and it's just like out there on the internet. You can just
Yeah.
find it so easily.
Because
That's
we didn't-
crazy.
We didn't
Don't
start,
look it up.
We didn't start getting that stuff till like, World War II. Is like when you actually started seeing footage of things.
You can find footage and photos of people during World War II. It's not great photos, but that's the first time that stuff actually like got out there. And honestly,
and people actually saw war, and,
and it was
oh
it was
my
a major
gosh."
change because people started to actually be able to see what it meant to be at war,
Mhm.
and it wasn't just like this is happening out there.
I think a good movie to watch to really understand World War II is Saving Private Ryan.
Fun
Like-
fact, I've actually not seen that movie yet.
Okay, we need to watch it. We're gonna watch it.
I didn't watch a lot of war movies as a kid because
There's some.
they're pretty violent.
What was
They
that
are
one-
very violent.
What's that one where the guy goes in with no weapons?
Fortnite.
brother, what? No,
I don't know. Whatever.
it's Andrew
Garfield.
Oh, Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Hacksaw
I like
Ridge.
that one.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's good. Actually.
Is it
I
good?
like it.
Have you seen
It's
it?
about a Christian guy who's a medic. And he goes and he's always saying, Lord, just let me save one more.
Mm.
I've heard the movie. I haven't seen it, actually. But I know about it.
Maybe we should go see
We
that.
gotta go watch a ton more
Um,
movies.
I'm not proud of this fact, but I've seen a lot of movies through clips on YouTube Shorts.
Dude,
Real.
Like
That's so
Instagram
real.
Reels. I'll be like watching
Oh
clips.
my.
I was at the barber the other day, and they were watching Journey to the Mysterious Island from 2011, which I looked up the date, and I was like, 2011? That was 11 years ago. That was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. But point is, I
I
saw a
was
clip
in
of it.
kindergarten 13 years ago.
I saw a clip of it on Instagram Reels, and I was like, wow, what an interesting film.
Wow.
And I watched it. I was like, this movie sucks. Just pick the good parts of the movie to show on social media. Who knew?
Or like how they use AI to like describe the movie poorly.
Oh, it's
my
so funny.
gosh.
Okay, this is another question. This is off script. There's not really a script, but off the dome right here. I was talking about this with some friends at work. What things are kids today, like young kids, like still at the very gullible age in the internet, are like, what things are they seeing on like AI generated stuff that they don't realize is fake?
You've sent me so many of like that one dude. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's so bad.
Because the reason I thought of this was because I thought of the photos of Trump getting arrested that came out like 2 years ago, maybe, like before he even actually goes on trial.
Yeah.
Someone AI generated photos of Donald Trump getting arrested
Mhm.
and like mug shots of him and stuff, and got it spread around the internet, and it caught like wildfire on Facebook, and all these boomers were thinking it was like actually real photos of him getting arrested and thought it was actual news. And I'm thinking, what things as a kid are kids seeing and not realizing?
But the thing is that AI is getting very good.
it's getting very
Or
good.
Or like
It's
things
getting
like
to the point
people
where it
say.
takes me about 5 seconds, and I'm like, wait, this isn't real. Like, this is actually AI. And
There's been some videos I've seen where I was genuinely convinced it was real until I realized it was AI, or like well crafted, like just simulation.
if you look at it
videos
at a
of
glance,
things.
like some of these you look at a glance, and you're like, oh, that's just a real video, and then you have to look at it for just like a few
that's-
more seconds.
That's the danger of it too, is though, because people aren't looking at
That's
videos
true.
deeply.
Yeah.
You're scrolling and swiping past and watching things in like
They
7
have to
seconds.
get
tops.
deep.
You have to look deeper into the videos, or else you won't realize they're AI.
Because honestly, if you don't pay attention, you're just like, whoa, that happened, and you just keep scrolling. So it's
Yeah,
like,
right.
you just keep saying, whoa, whoa, whoa.
And
know,
also,
it's real.
because when I was a kid, I watched this videos with like Minecraft if it was in real life.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's like
gosh.
these terrible slideshows of the stupidest stuff. And
That was like AI.
I thought that stuff was
Kinda.
crazy. That was like the OG AI for me. But now there's stuff where kids genuinely, like, how many kids are gonna grow up not being able to know what things are real and fake? Either in the way of they literally can't tell the difference, or they don't trust anything because
Mhm.
they assume that things are
To
either
go
real
into
or
like
fake.
real and fake, it's like, this is not to do with AI, but it's like the gender stuff of like pushing it down kids' throat. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna know what's real and fake if you're scrolling on thing. It's like, oh, this is why you can be a gay homosexual.
It's the same thing.
Whatever. Okay.
No, it's saying you can be a gay heterosexual. Like, what? That doesn't
Or
make
like you
sense.
can be a gay Christian. And it's like, well, the Bible says you can't. Who am I listening to?
There's definitely like so much of the current world is so fabricated and fake that it's weird to think of what it would be like to be a kid where you don't see through that veil. Where kids, because we can watch, because when I was a kid, my dad would put on a movie that it would have some scary parts, but he'd always be like, "It's okay, it's not real, it's fake," and I had to tell myself it's fake. But when I was a kid, I saw those things, and they were still so scary looking to me as a person, like as a kid, that I was so still scared of it, whether it was
Mhm.
real or fake.
Mm-hmm.
And now kids are like not being told things are real or fake, and looking at things that are fake and not realizing they are fake.
Mm.
Being told they're real or being told that things are like genuine.
There isn't someone there being like, oh, that's not real. Don't worry about
There's
it.
no voice of reason telling people where the lies are. Like there's so much truths, because the thing is that the best lies are the ones that have the truth mixed in with them, that are woven together with truths. And that the fact that a woman does exist, that's a real thing that people see. But then you see a fabrication of a woman that is just a person acting as if they're a woman. And you can't tell the difference because the thing that they're pretending to be is a real thing. But that's not it. It's
Yeah.
a poor fabrication, a poor twisting of a beautiful parts of God's creation.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the poor kids.
I
Because,
feel
like,
bad for the people who do that to themselves too.
yeah.
It's like that has some major health problems, and you get like those videos where, especially on like the Daily Wire, where they're always taking in interviews for like ex transgenders.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those.
And they're saying like, this is terrible, don't buy into it like I did, because it messes with everything, and it's almost like you weren't meant to be that way.
And they always say like how everyone told them, oh, it's okay, you can be this.
Yeah.
Do all this, do everything.
You be you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, hold on. So in my elementary school, in my 5th grade year, I think is when they started, like, everything started to get a lot more woke. And our school slogan for that year, like, each year it changes, but it changed to "You Be You," and that was when it started to change. Like, I didn't quite catch some of it, but the "You Be You," I'm like, oh, cool. It's just be yourself, which is it's an important thing to do, but don't be the person that other people are making you try to be.
Yeah.
A key thing about the, like, be yourself thing that people are pushing a lot is that,
Or be your true self.
yeah,
Let your true self shine.
people who are not Christians don't know what sin is.
Mhm.
Like, I've had conversations with non-Christians where they really, literally don't even know what I mean when I say sin. They don't even know what is categorized as good and bad.
Mm.
Like, that's how deeply America has gotten into, like, apostasy, is that they don't even know what it means to be sinful. And so when they say "you be you," they assume every single part of you. You should not be every single part of you, because you should sacrifice and crucify your flesh every day to be the spiritual self, the person you were meant to be, not the person that you are. Because humanity is twisted and broken, and the person you are without God is not the person you were meant to be, and you can only be that person with God. And kids are being told that every single part of themselves is absolutely true and must be fulfilled, or else you're not being real. Like, you're not being true to yourself, when a lot of those things are very confusing and out there and evil, and things that, I mean, obviously there is a level of evil to, like, mostly to the agenda around LGBTQ issues, and it has to be addressed from a loving standpoint,
Right.
as Christians.
Yeah, that's an important thing. Is a lot of Christians, they are trying to not take it from, hey, I'm telling you this because I love you. Some of them are just being like, yeah, that's wrong. Stop doing that. That's not good, which is true, but they're not making it very clear that they're doing it out of love of them. And that's something that's, I think that's something that we can also take from some Mormons, because Mormons, they're very kind people. I mean, there's Mormonism as a whole is not great, but
when they knock on your door, they are nice people.
they are nice
They're
people.
nice people. You can tell someone's Mormon before you know they're Mormon.
Yes.
I have friends at work who are Mormon, and I'm like, I can tell you're Mormon because you're always smiling. You're always so nice to me. Like, every time I talk to you, you're, like, always in a good mood.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I can tell that you're living your truth a lot. Like, what you believe, you're very committed to.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Christians out there I meet who don't show the love of Christ and that joy and light every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad for sure, because those things are evil, but at the same time, it's like, we give into a lot of our evil too. We're definitely not perfect people, for sure. And there's a lot to be learned as we, I think, to an extent, that's one of the biggest flaws of Christianity in America, is that we've also accepted parts of ourselves which is evil, parts of ourselves that accepts hatred and bias and prejudice and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Some of it's valid, but not all of it.
I think also, like, what you're saying about the UBU thing, it's like, it's kind of saying, like, oh, all your thoughts are correct, and, like, because we can have thoughts on lust and whatnot, or I guess kind of like, but it's more on acting on your sin or your thoughts. It's like if you end up acting, that's when the UBU thing kind of starts happening, where it's like you start acting on those thoughts you have.
Yeah, and there's some people out there who really should not be them because they're mentally unwell and need to not fulfill the thoughts they have in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
If you struggle with sociopathic tendencies or narcissistic tendencies, you're going to harm other people around you if you are being you in the way that you were made to be, as they're saying in this culture. And even people who are victims of trauma, your trauma does not excuse your actions. You have to still be responsible for the things you do, because no amount of pain that is caused to you will permit pain you've done to other people. Like, there's no extent of evil that you can experience that makes it okay for you to be evil to other people.
Yeah.
Those those things should make you more loving to others, more empathetic. And I've met people who have like told me their story and are not Christians, but have like experienced terrible, horrible things, but are some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And they care so deeply about every person around them, and it's in a very genuine way that I've always respected and admired and wanted to reflect. But then there's people who use their trauma and their victimhood as an excuse to be.
It's kind of like the golden rule, you know. Jesus, he says, treat others how you want to be treated. But I think the thing that most people wrongly interpret with that is when they say treat others how you want to be treated, and then they say, well, this person treated me like this, so I'm going to treat them like that. Well, if you're going to treat them like that, is that how you want to be treated? Like, you, even to anyone, you can't say, oh, because they treated me like that, I have to treat them like that back. No. You want to treat them how you want to be treated. It's when you have that thing saying, that thought in your head saying, well, since they did that, you should do this back to them. That's Satan saying that. That's Satan saying that. And it's important to identify that thought and take hold of it and put it through the lens of Jesus and say whether or not is this because of how I'm feeling, or is it because of it's a general truth or something like that. But it's
treat others the way you've been treated doesn't mean treat others the way you've been treated.
Exactly. Yes,
it's how you want to be treated that you treat others, not how people have treated you.
That's basically what I was
and
getting at. I just couldn't put it in a sentence.
Treating others in the way they've treated you is a very worldly perspective, and it's not easy by any means to treat others the way you want to be treated, for sure. But it's an easy thing to fall into, that's for sure.
And I think something that promotes the treat others how you've been treated is like just a lot of the small things we do. Like, for example, playing video games. When you're playing like Call of Duty or just any video game, like in racing, for example, whenever someone spins you out around a corner, you're gonna be like, dude, I want to spin this guy back out because he spun me out. Or instead of doing that, you could keep racing and actually finish better than what you would do trying to get someone else out. And then going to COD, COD's not really good.
You can't fly.
Yeah.
The goal of the game is.
But in COD, there's times where, you know, someone says something in like the chat or something, and suddenly you really want to be toxic back. I have that.
Yeah.
I've said some things to people.
I think we've all said something
that I shouldn't have said. Not like bad words, but just like been very insulting to other people because they insulted me first. It's not a good excuse to do that. It's not a good excuse to trash talk others because you've been trash talked. Some healthy competition is okay. I think that's valid.
I would say that even like if my teammates have done stuff I didn't like, I've said things that weren't nice to them because I didn't like what they did, or they didn't perform as well as they should have.
Didn't like who they are.
Yeah, I kind of like the racing. I'm just an automotive head.
Because there's, you know, when the day when we were at K1, this guy's like riding my tail, and I know he's trying to pass me, and I really don't want him to pass me until like I don't care whatever he does to me, I'm gonna do back to him. and I'm like trying to like really play defensively, even though it's really aggressive and it's almost
Yeah.
spinning me out in the process. Like the quote, "An eye for an eye, and the world goes blind." You know, like
Mhm.
you can only take back your revenge so many times.
Right.
But in Second Timothy, it says,
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
"Yeah, vengeance is mine," says the Lord, and it's not easy, that's for sure. But in times of trouble, it's very important to remember, or else you'll probably hurt other people more than you want to.
Man, we haven't even gotten to our like final question.
Should we get on to the final question?
I mean, I think
I think why not? I mean, it doesn't really matter. We have time.
I'll say it'll definitely spark a lot of more conversation. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So let me pull out my notes really quick just to actually make sure I have the words exactly how I wrote them. So the main question for our podcast today, kind of reflecting previous conversation, talking about conspiracy theories we believe, and on the topic of like electric cars and climate change,
Right.
and presidential elections, and all these things that are like very
President almost getting
yeah,
assassinated.
very frightening things that are relative to our current age, but also are shaping the future.
Mhm.
The main question we're asking today is, what obligations do we have to future generations, and how does it shape our lives today?
Had the whole time to think about it, and I'm still.
It's not an easy question,
Yeah, no.
because we just talked about the golden rule and treat
Yeah.
others the way you'd like to be treated.
You
And
don't even take into account past or future people.
Yeah.
I mean, because depending on the person, that past person is still present.
Yeah.
But, yeah, to the future people, that's a very morally and ethical. It's a very moral and ethical question, because when you ask that question, it's like it takes into account your selflessness, because it's basically asking, would you would you sacrifice yourself? I mean, this is a very extreme situation, but would you sacrifice yourself right now so that 3 more people could live on?
I think a lot of it, at the heart of the question, and I'm not saying this is like an easy thing to do at all.
Mhm.
This is definitely a difficult truth to live out no matter who you are or what your take on the question is. But
Right.
at the end of the day, the question is relative to, are you willing to love future generations in the way Jesus loves? And that's a self-sacrificial love.
Yeah.
Where you have to give up what you have now for the sake of others in the future. That he didn't just die for the people who were there at that time.
Right.
He died for people in
He died
all
for-
times,
he
past
died
and
for
present.
us.
It wasn't because he had the, he was like, oh, I'll just resurrect, it's fine. He did
Yeah.
it because it was a physically painful and difficult thing to do.
Physically and mentally.
But he did it because he loved others so much. And, again, going back to that golden rule, we would hope that others would treat us, that past generations would treat us in a way that would set us up for success.
Mhm.
And I think to an extent, they've tried their best.
Yeah.
With what they had, they definitely tried. And our generation and our culture is still not perfect because,
I think we have a much better chance, though. at
yeah,
Making it a much better place.
some things you just can't see coming.
Yeah.
They couldn't have seen when they're inventing the internet. They couldn't have looked forward 20 years and saw a Skibidi toilet.
I mean, but the thing, they actually, okay. They actually thought that we'd have flying cars by 17?
Yeah, 2018 or something.
2018?
15.
We're still,
Oh,
we're,
2015?
Back to the Future.
Was it 2015?
Yeah.
I remember when that happened, when it was 2015, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it was the date from Back to the
I
Future.
know.
That was almost 10 years ago now. Next year, the Back to the, we'll be 10 years ahead of Back to the Future.
I can't believe that, like, the statement 2015 will be 10 years ago in, like, 6 months. Right now, 5 months.
It's crazy.
Making me feel old, even though I'm not old.
We're getting to the age where we have to start counting in decades, so.
Shut up.
I think I would like to say that I would want to act for the good of all future generations.
Yeah.
But I can't say for certain that I want to.
Yeah.
In the context of you know, my future family, my
Mhm.
children, my grandchildren.
Right.
Those things I want to create a good legacy for myself and a good future for them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what the question is. The question is,
What
are you willing to work and sacrifice parts of your lives now for the sake of the children of Joe Biden, Donald Trump, you know, like terrorists' children. The children of like
OnlyFans children.
OnlyFans stars. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
The children of the most.
Wait,
Think of the most corrupt.
Hold on. You
but
might have to cut that out
But it's also not.
because YouTube doesn't allow. I think it's literally YouTube doesn't allow.
I'll bleep it out,
mention.
and it'll sound really wacky.
So we're gonna say only, and
only Fortnite.
only, dang it, and this right here.
That one.
Only.
You know what we're
this.
talking about.
Yes.
But I feel like also you're saying like generations of Joe Biden. Say a ton of bad people, but it's not like
They're not.
it's not their fault for being
Right.
a generation like being born.
It's not my fault for being my parents' child.
No,
It's not my fault. My ancestors were slave owners.
Okay, hold on. You don't know that, do you? Bro, just mock
All I'm
this.
saying is, if I was at the Civil War, it would have been over right away.
On what side?
You don't want to.
it's a South 1-1. You had it, mate.
If I was there, it wouldn't happen.
Oh my gosh, we're not talking about sketch, are we?
No.
Okay. That's getting way off topic.
My point is, think
Generations.
of the most corrupt person you can think of right now in the world. Could be the leader of Hamas, Putin.
I thought it was
Whatever you want.
Iran. Did you say?
Yeah, Iran and Israel. My two
North
countries
Korea.
are fighting. Yeah.
North Korea.
All of those people.
China.
All those people are going to have generations come after them.
Right.
That are going to be shaped by those people.
Mhm.
It's not that those people are necessarily evil because they're children of those people, but they're also being raised in a culture that is shaped by those people too.
And like they're being influenced by those people.
Like in the context of Islamic countries, just because they're children of Islamic people doesn't mean they're going to be Islamic or have certain views on women and marriage and ethnicity and who is appropriate to go to heaven and who isn't. That doesn't mean they're guaranteed to do that, but they probably are going to have those perspectives.
Yeah.
And-
Speaking of ethnicity, so there's this.
What?
There's
Carry on. Let's hear
there's
it.
there's this thing where I can't remember if it's Norwegian people or Swedish, or it's some European country, and it's like saying which country's the most peaceful and stuff, and then
And the most racist.
and then which one's the most racist. And
And
it's-
it's always Sweden, by the way.
yeah, okay, yeah, Sweden, but
Swedish people are crazy racist. Bunch of
Okay, let's go.
blonde haired people. with
fully
flaming
off topic.
Swedish.
But I don't know, I just thought it was something funny.
I think it's weird because we want to make a good future
Yeah,
for the good people who we feel deserve it. And that's how the past generations felt too.
right.
That they're like, if they're good, then they deserve it.
But it's
And that's
also like, what's your view on a good future? Like, what is a good future for the next
Yeah,
generation? Like,
that's
what is a
something-
good future? What is a good future for the next whole generation?
See,
Yeah.
but that's something that our whole world disagrees on. None
Yeah,
of us.
that's the current problem, really.
None of us
But some
agree
people like,
on.
oh, in my future, I want my kids to have electric, like that kind of stuff, because like,
I want my kids to have
It's-
14 wives and stuff.
yeah,
Like that's not the kind of world that is a good world.
it's just how you're kind of like who's ever is influencing you is how your future's kind of not always, but it's a big factor, I guess. You could
Yes.
say.
It's and also
Plays a big role.
it's not even that we need to agree on what a good world is. It's that we need to agree to disagree. Is in some and I mean okay when
Yeah.
it comes to a world and stuff we kind of there needs to be a set moral, which there is, but not everyone likes that moral because we're born into a sinful world. We're born into sin. But getting back to like just generally is that I think we have gotten better at this, at least our generation, but we need to learn to agree to disagree. Especially when it comes to Okay, now I'm thinking about it. I can't think of anything that's.
Well, I feel like there's some things where you can't agree to disagree because
It's very
impo-
serious.
It's like
It's-
you can't agree with it.
There's, to an extent, all people are enacting on the hope that they're making the best future possible for future
Yeah.
generations.
yeah,
But the perspective of what that means is very different for different people.
Yeah.
For people who are fighting so aggressively for the rights to abortion, they're doing what they think is best for the future. People who are fighting against abortion
they
are
have,
also doing what they
quote
think is best for
unquote,
the future.
good intentions. Obviously, those intentions aren't good, but like they want the
point
best.
is the perspective is that
Yes.
they think this is the best option,
Right.
and that's everyone acts upon the hopes that they're picking the best option.
That in their feelings. Which,
But the actual philosophical debate of what is good has shifted so much since like times when cultures rose and fell because it was a very turbulent time in history, but like during this era of Greek philosophers, they genuinely were thinking, what does it mean to be good? And be good not only to yourself but to all people. And Aristotle studied it religiously of what does it mean to be good to people and to be a good person.
Right.
And that was he did that for the sake of not just him but for future generations. And that was a debate that they had all the time of what does it mean to be good. And it was genuinely that they actually had good intentions and wanted to understand what it means to be good. They were missing a key piece to that, which was having God, having a set reason for there to be
having
right and
a
wrong,
literal
or fair and unfair.
having a literal universal moral standard.
Yeah.
It's...
When C.S. Lewis talks about it in the start of Mere Christianity, he talks about what does it mean for there to be a moral standard.
Right.
And when a kid takes another kid's toy, they know that thing is not fair for that kid to take that toy. It's not their toy.
But what makes you think that?
But there's no reason for you to have owned that toy.
Yeah.
That kid probably didn't actually buy it with his own money.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any actual ownership over it. But it's the ethical act of taking another person's thing that all people can universally agree that's not fair, but they don't know why it's not fair.
I feel like that's like the same thing with murder.
Because
Yeah.
It's like, you can kill someone, but
What's
it's
the
like,
scripture?
Who says it's wrong?
Mm.
Like the government, like
What's the scripture that
'cause there's
I don't know where, but it says the law of the Lord is written on every man's heart. Where
It's in Romans.
Romans.
Mhm.
So that's I gotta find it.
Yeah, Romans talks about being a law unto yourself, and what does it mean to be, or like, people who don't even know the gospel, they don't know God, but they still know that there's right and wrong and fair and unfair because it's in the heart of man to want justice.
Right. I am not good at.
Yeah, in the context of murder too, it's like
That's Revelations.
everyone knows killing another person is bad.
Right.
but why?
Why?
But there's no reason for it to be bad other than just that person used to be a person, no longer is. It's just the circle of life if you're just looking at it from a purely evolutionary perspective. But we've created a morally ethical reason why you should not kill someone.
But there's also people who are like murderers don't have that point of view. They think murdering's okay. So it's like, I feel like for future generations, it's like really just spreading the gospel to show them the only correct perspective, I guess you could say.
The gospel and the Bible as a whole has been used as a grounds of ethical and philosophical debate for centuries at this point. For a
That's
reason.
even that's kind of how America was like. It's kind of built on
Yeah.
like
the whole of American law and rights stems from
one nation under God.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Indivisible.
unalienable
Liberty
rights
and justice for all.
The God-given rights
ordained by God. Yeah.
Yeah.
That there is an absolute good and a morally ethical good.
Is it God's judgment in the law in chapter
I'm not
2?
sure.
For all who have sinned without the law will also perish without the law. And all who have sinned under the law will be judged by the law. For it is not the herders of the law who are righteous before God, but the doers of the law who will be justified. For when Gentiles who do not have the law by nature do what the law requires, they are the law to themselves, even though they do not have the law.
That's what it was. Yeah. Like in certain contexts, it does not mean that all people have a perfectly moral law
Right.
implanted into their being. That people can have good intentions, especially in the topic of abortion. Like, people have the intentions of.
It's
What
not.
if
It's
someone-
not for just the sake of just to kill a baby. It's
Yeah,
for the
they're not
sake-
doing it because they just want to murder kids. That's not what they want to do.
It's
That's why they don't even call babies kids. They don't call them humans, and they don't call it
Fetus.
murder.
They just call it fetus.
They dehumanize it because they still have good intentions, but the actual consequence of it, they're not willing.
My
to
question
accept.
is, why don't they want to call it a human baby or something? It's almost like it sounds wrong, you know. And when they say that, then it's almost like a conflicting thing in their head to the law, you know. And
Gaslighting themselves,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
gaslighting doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Gaslighting's all in your head, chat. I think,
Wait, what if you said gaslighting does exist, but
but I'm gaslighting you into believing it exists, so it doesn't exist.
okay? Besides the point.
Point is, in the topic of abortion, people are discussing. They want to do it because there's usually two big things. You're like, but what about these two scenarios? One where it's a case of sexual assault, or one where the mother's life is at stake if she goes through with the pregnancy.
My question to you then is, what percentage of abortions is that actually happening?
Very, very, very small.
I'm pretty sure it's less than 1%.
I've done the study.
But nobody brings up,
That
or
statistic.
everybody only brings
Because
up
they-
the 1%.
In my
because
philosophy
they want-
class,
because-
I had to study this, and I had to find actual academic paper for it, and it's tiny, like a minuscule amount.
It's because, which is not a bad thing, but it's because people want to vouch for the little guy and
Yeah.
stuff. But statistically, it's not always good to vouch for the little guy, because then you're starting. Because then other people are gonna say, "Well, I am the little guy," but they're really not. They're not part of that
It's the
situation.
difference between equality and equity.
Yes.
People always talk about equality. Equality does nothing for anyone,
Yeah.
basically. If you were the lowest of society and you're given equally the same as someone who was born into the highest of society, they're still going to be ahead of you because they have other things that they've been
Yeah.
born into. Equity is where you make people
it-
all equal by
with-
matching the actual level of what they
Yeah.
need.
Equality, I think, it can cap people out. Like, it can limit to what you want to do in life, and to some other people it can set way too high of a standard for them to do, which is, you know, not for the little guy, but you know, it's a real thing. And that's why equality is not really working. We need
Probably
equity.
The view of equality has changed a lot.
Yes. Well, the
what
view
it
of it, and
means.
also just the general definition of it, they're trying to describe it as a good thing, where everyone
Yeah.
gets the same thing and good. But not all people want the same thing. And that's why equity is whatever you like, want, need, just you in general. Equity matches up to you. And with some people, I'm not saying like some people are higher than others, but I'm just as a metaphor. Let's say this is you, this is someone else, and you both get the same thing. It's not doing any good. It just puts you both down, and it just doesn't help at all trying to progress.
This is why communism doesn't work.
Exactly. That's why capitalism
He's not wrong.
is the way to go. Is there a right and wrong way to do capitalism? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's a big thing. We're not. Whenever we say capitalism, we don't mean
completely free markets and
yeah,
everything
yeah.
and all that.
there's a
Invest
There's-
in the video.
no. Well, I mean, if it was 2020 and so.
Still invest in the video.
Uh,
Point is,
I tried doing that for a class and I lost like so much money
cooked.
because it just went down.
How
like
much did they come on
$100.
investing? 1 million.
Yeah.
I lost everything.
But it's a
Give
very
me back my money.
it's very important to decipher equity and equality, especially when you're talking to someone about that topic. You can't say, well, I'm talking, they're trying to make equality equity, but they're two different things. It's like hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah.
You can't, it's not the same thing. Kind of have the same ingredients.
But one's
But-
better than the other.
Yes. I'm not gonna say which one's better. Oh,
Comment which one is better.
hamburgers or hot dogs?
The answer's hot dogs.
No, it's hamburger.
Okay. Okay.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
Hamburger all the way.
I think being young, being young in the context of future generations, I don't have that much money. I can do
Yeah.
my best to figure out what my future is, but there's only so much I can do.
Yeah.
And the best thing I can do right now, today, is continue to make myself a better person. To become a person better than I was yesterday and better than I am today. To fulfill and become closer to the person that God has ordained me to be at some point in my future.
Mhm.
That even though I can't be that person right now today, even though I wish I could, for the sake of my future wife, my future children, future families, future job, future
Mhm.
home, future whatever, the best thing I can do today is make myself a better person. And how do we know what it means to be a better person? Well, the Bible tells us.
Mhm.
And it's not just for the sake of, oh, because I want to go to heaven, but it's because it's what God has made for you, and to not successfully fulfill what God has made you to be
Mhm.
is a very sad thing to experience.
Yeah, because I'm literally looking at this same page. The righteous shall live by faith, and it's an important thing to show that. I'm not great at doing it, but it's something that I could definitely work on, and I need to work on. For in verse 16, chapter 1, verse 16 in Romans, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. For in the righteousness of God is wait, hold on. For in the righteous oh gosh, for it is in the righteousness of God. I am dyslexic, I think, or something, because I
Can we
can't
just
read
read
this.
Romans
Chat,
like
he's
12
cooked.
months ago?
Yeah, we just read
Yeah, we
Romans.
did. So
Go for
let
it.
me restart at 17. For in it, the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith. And notice the first thing it says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel. That's something that I think a lot of Christians struggle with, especially in this world, because a lot of us are people pleasers, and we don't want to, hurt feelings and stuff. But one thing my mom says a lot is, feelings aren't right or wrong; they just are, and that's important because you kind of have to care about some people's feelings, but to the point where it's not getting in the way of, I want you to go to heaven and not to hell, because, we have a general care for people, but it can be hard to be hard on others,
I'll say one of the things on yourself, what you said about like bettering yourself. I feel like the more you better yourself and become a more godly man, you'll make, I guess, better decisions for the future generation. As you better yourself, you're also bettering the next generations and to come.
Answer
Yeah.
to everything is Jesus.
Because I might not know what it means to better the future until I wisen up a bit, have a bit more experience, and then
Mhm.
figure out
And
what
God
it
will
means.
show,
Yeah.
He'll lead you there
Mhm.
as you grow.
A lot of times we just gotta open our eyes to it, not physically, but spiritually. Because a lot of times we'll put ourselves in this little cocoon of like, man, this world's going to crap and stuff. Kind of is at the moment, but it's important to have a optimistic look on the world. Because without optimism, everyone's depressed, and we all, and right now we're at a all-time high of suicide rates, especially in men. It's sad that a lot of people aren't seeing, there's not enough optimistic people out there. But the more the darkness grows, the more the light shines. I think is
Like the Bible says, you don't light a lamp and put it under a basket.
Yeah.
You don't find the gospel and then be like, this is awesome. I'm going to keep this entirely to myself.
right.
And not even to myself. I'm going to hide it from even myself and only live in darkness.
Mm.
That's not what the gospel calls us to do.
Mm.
And I think there's times where you have to be willing to call out darkness and say what is evil and what isn't.
Mhm.
But
Can't
you
live in
should
it.
more commonly be spreading light than you are spreading darkness. If you're constantly fear mongering, if you're constantly showing people only evil, then you're not fulfilling.
Is
the-
it just
the fullness of the gospel?
And is it just me, or is it somehow kind of addicting to do that sometimes?
I think it's easier to show because I feel like since there's so much of it, like you can easily show people, oh, look at all this bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to show like people the good side of the bad,
Yeah.
or not the good side of the bad, just the good side. I mean,
And this is one problem I have with the internet is, we see a bunch of bad stuff, but then when we see a good thing, it's like, oh my gosh, it's actually a good thing. But then it kind of rewires your brain into thinking, wow, the internet's a good place. It's not really a good place, No, it's not a good place at all. And when you see those little good things, cool. But also, there's a ton of bad on that. And I know it kind of conflicts with focusing on the bad, but also, it's not.
everybody just delete Instagram.
And Twitter.
Screw you guys. I'm deleting Instagram.
Guys, this is
Shout out to
amazing.
Michael. I won't be doing that.
Oh my, yeah, because you've done it how many times now?
I'll re-download it.
I'm gonna re-download it eventually, but for now I'm just deleting it because otherwise I'm gonna be up till like 3 a.m. just
See-
on Reels being depressed.
I started getting a
Yeah,
bunch of
call
like
it that.
really
Yeah.
lovey-dovey stuff.
The what now?
I got a bunch of like really like sappy lovey-dovey stuff now
Oh, you
on
know-
my Instagram.
Ugh.
So, should we wrap it up?
Yeah,
Should we end off with like a church trying to like find a good verse to say at the end or something?
encouraging verse.
Encouraging.
Let me check my highlights on my.
I was gonna say I got some saved on my phone.
Oh, no. You know what we should do? Just tradition, like we should start as a tradition, is just find a random page.
Or we can each
open.
find one.
He went straight to Ecclesiastes.
Okay.
We're not reading that.
Or we can each find one verse and say.
Okay, hold on. But straight up, first page of Ecclesiastes.
That's
see.
very fitting.
Let me find a good verse. Fear God.
And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken.
Okay.
That's more so about like relationships and like,
Yeah.
you, your wife, and God. But
Mm.
there's three of us. We're not using that name.
Come on.
We're gonna do some podcasts outside eventually, not in the trailer.
Okay, then
Probably
Lord willing.
Scott's backyard.
Probably in Scott's backyard. Once we all have 3 mics, we can just hold to ourselves.
Right. Should we talk about like name on like?
I think I
podcast
already
name?
said it.
Yeah, in the
I said
beginning
it
you
earlier.
said Crossroad.
well, we
Conversation.
Current
we-
name.
we
the current
talked
name is
about
Crossroad
it.
Conversations, or we'll swap it
But
out.
we
Oh.
can change it whenever. It doesn't really matter.
Depending on who sees this, if you have any ideas for podcast name, I know we're just.
The-
If you have any questions for us for future podcasts,
Yes.
put that down in the
please
comments.
put those down
Suggestions for topics.
because we're like running out of.
They can be
ideas.
funny stuff. They can be serious stuff. They can be stuff that's like personal
Yeah.
to your life, and you actually want to ask us questions.
'Cause-
Do those things. We would totally love to read those.
Because our main format. You want us to talk about that?
Yeah, our main format is gonna be not very similar to this one. It's gonna be more. Gonna have three question episodes essentially. Gonna spend about 20 minutes in on each question, talking about start something funny, something a little bit more mid-range, kind of funny, and then get something really serious. That's gonna be our general format, but for this episode,
Yeah.
it's different. Doing lots of introduction stuff, lots of housekeeping to go through.
Yeah.
But for now, I think we've been talking for a while now, so I'm gonna call it here. I think, but thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you listening. If
Have a
there is
good,
anyone listening,
Have,
but
have a good rest of your day, night, or morning.
praise the Lord.
Yes.
Keep a ready sword, and rejoice in Him always. And tell your mom you love her
And Dad.
and,
And
your siblings.
siblings.
You guys have anything else to say?
No.
Subscribe to Graced __ on Twitch.
Don't shit.
Bye.